members, we'll call to order the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development. It is Monday, March 3rd. We are excited that you are here. Let me kind of give you a roadmap as to what we are doing today. We will be hearing Senate File number 1726 and Senate File number 1945 from Senator Hauschild. We'll also hear Senate File 1900 from Senator Pappas and Senate File number 1424 from Senator Fateh. Senate File 1808 from Senator Mohamed, and my bill is Senate File 1745. As you can see, that we have a full agenda today, so we'll be limiting all testifiers to 2 minutes. The only one who gets more time is the senator, and if the committee has questions, they have unlimited amounts of time that they can use in order to ask questions. But all other testifiers, it's 2 minutes. We often suggest to individuals that sometimes have, let's say for an example, on 1726, there are 4 testifiers, it looks like, that you should try not to repeat each other because I think that doesn't help when you just repeat each other, but to build on each other's testimony in order for us to give us a really good sense as to why resource in this bill is important. We now have a quorum that's present. Also, that you'll know this 2-minute limitation was told to each person who was testifying. They were made aware of this in advance, and also we posted it on the website. So thank you for adhering to our request. First up, we'll have Senator Hauschild with Senate File number 1726. And while he and his testifiers are coming forth, and let me just say, is Emily Said, if you can come up to the testifier table, as well as Heidi Haverson. If you could come up to the testifier's table, and then following, we know that there will be Cheryl Moeller, as well as Sanneh Taylor, I think is how you pronounce it. If I'm wrong, you can correct me on the record. But Senator Hauschild, welcome to the committee. And before you get started, let me have Ms. Noner give us a fiscal overview before you start your testimony on Senate File number 1726. Ms. Noner.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 1726 is appropriating $1.2 million in fiscal year 26 and $1.2 million in fiscal year 27. There isn't one-time language in the bill, so assuming that amount is ongoing. And then in the past, Minnesota STEM ecosystem has not received any recent funding from the Jobs Committee.
Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you giving us that direction. And Senator Hauschild, if you would give us an overview or tell us about your bill, and then introduce your testifiers in order in which you want them to present, and then also if you can provide some clarity as to whether this is a request for ongoing or one-time appropriation. Senator Hauschild to 1726.
Thank you, Chair Champion and members of the Senate Jobs Committee. Today I have for you Senate File 1726. The Minnesota STEM ecosystem is a statewide STEM network. It was created through a cross-sector, cross-system collaboration of business, education, government, after-school programs, museums, nonprofits, and community organizations. Partners and supporters include Ignite After School, the Science Museum, Minnesota Department of Education, the Zoo, Boston Scientific, Mayo 3M, and much more. A STEM ecosystem encompasses schools, community settings such as after-school and summer programs, science centers and museums, and informal experiences at home and in a variety of environments that together constitute a rich array of learning opportunities for people in science, technology, engineering, and math, or referred to as STEM-related opportunities in their communities. And Mr. Chair, I just have to tell a very brief story. I was with my son, who's 4 years old, his name is Henry, and we went to the robotics competition this last weekend that was held in Duluth. And to see these high school students building these robots, competing, the camaraderie, the different sort of expertise they all bring to the experience, and them talking about the future job opportunities they're looking at based on that experience, experience, I think is really a microcosm of the opportunities that we have for providing this types of funding for STEM education and STEM opportunities. To your specific question, Mr. Chair, I'm very flexible and open to what kind of request this would be. Certainly, I would welcome the opportunity for this to be ongoing funding, but I do understand budget restrictions and would be very open to your recommendations or possible future discussions about what opportunities could exist one time or ongoing.
Thank you, Senator Hauschild. Yeah, you know, those ongoing resources probably won't work. So I've been telling everyone, let's manage our expectations. Whether any money is given, that's the first hurdle. So thank you so very much for that request. All right, then we will go to your first testifier. I naturally assume it's be Emily Said?
Yes.
Who is the Executive Director of Minnesota STEM Ecosystem. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the committee, and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chairperson Champion and committee members. I came into this role about 2 years ago with a background in career and technical education. That gave me a foundation of understanding how important it is that we listen to industry and the needs of our workforce. When we understand the needs of our workforce, we can align learning outcomes to go along with those. And that means learning outcomes inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. Enclosed in your packet, you'll find that there's a list of our learning partners, some of which Senator Hauschild named, but there's a full list included in your packet. As we developed the STEM ecosystem as a cross-sector, cross-system organization, it was truly driven by industry and driven by that foundation. We understood that we needed to create an overarching strategy for STEM learning and STEM workforce development, and it needed to include both classroom and out-of-school time learning programs. And the strategy needed to be both broad and place-based at once. We need to recognize that in different regions of our state, we have different STEM assets and we have different challenges. Also on the back of the front page of this, you can take a look at this map. It will give you kind of an overview of what STEM looks like around the state. And if we're being honest, I think there's too much red and orange on this map. We need to pay more attention to Greater Minnesota. The other key component is that it needs to be a public-private partnership that's driven by the needs of workforce development. To ensure that our actions were intentional and aligned with this strategy, we did bring together an advisory council that brought together K-12, higher education, out-of-school learning partners, industry and community STEM assets. That advisory council is also included in your packet.
And thank you so very much. So if you want to say one last sentence, that would be great. And if you want us to have any additional information, because you did give us the Bridging the Gap info, but one last sentence would be great.
All right, thank you so much. I really hope that you ask me more questions. My last sentence is going to be that the STEM ecosystem was founded on a public-private partnership through one-time congressionally directed funding, and industry matched that. We're hoping now that Minnesota will act in the capacity to fill that public void of funding.
Thank you so very much. We will now go to Heidi Jaleka Halverson, and correct me if I'm wrong, identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony, and welcome to the committee.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Heidi Jedlicka-Halverson, and I lead philanthropic programs for Medtronic. So I lead our workforce development and STEM education access programming, as well as some of our other global programs. And at Medtronic, we know more than probably any company in this world that anything can begin with one student who's sparked by an imagination and a drive to be creative. Medtronic was started by our co-founder, Earl Bakken, who loved Frankenstein and was a creative kid. And that is how the entire med tech industry was started. I know our time is limited, so I want to leave you with one data point that I want you to remember even after this hearing. According to the World Economic Forum, 65% of kids who are sitting in elementary schools today will work in jobs that do not currently exist. And so for that reason, we've brought together this wonderful consortium of public-private partnership, our learning partners, our education partners, to work together to find shared value and shared outcomes to make sure we're supporting Minnesota kids with an eye on them having their own self-determination and workforce development. Now, as we think about why the STEM ecosystem, we in industry have found a ton of value, and I speak on behalf of Medtronic, but many of my peers and other companies based in with headquarters here in Minnesota have also engaged. We're able to have one-stop shop here to understand where is there a need, where are kids already getting access to STEM opportunities, and where could we be doing more with an eye, again, to make sure scholars and students are seeing where they have opportunities to make self-informed choices. Now, we hope they come work for Medtronic, but they have the opportunity to work in any part of our sector, as well as go into public service. Because of this consortium effort, we've been able to do things like technology donations and launch programming in a way that is informed by where the need is and where the capacity is to take that resourcing.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your testimony. That was perfect, actually. I want to tell you.
Thank you for having me.
We will now go to the third testifier, who will be Cheryl Moeller, who is a high-tech kid, who's with high-tech kids, and Sanneh, to her. And I'm sure that you will correct me, and if I'm saying your name wrong, blame it on my head and not my heart, okay? All right, so if you would state your name for the record, and welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chairperson Champion and committee members, for letting us share our support for Senate File 1726, a proposed Minnesota STEM ecosystem bill. My name is Cheryl Moeller, and I'm the Executive Director at High Tech Kids. High Tech Kids offers kindergarten through 12th grade robotic programs throughout the state of Minnesota. Last year, we supported 900 Minnesota teams. While that sounds like a lot of teams, it isn't a lot of robotics teams when you compare it to our Minnesota youth sports teams. Our programs are not offered in every school or in every community. Our after-school programs teach many of the same things as sports, such as teamwork and communication, but students also learn how to make things, build a robot to solve specific challenges, program that robot, and operate that robot. We have longitudinal evidence that our programs teach the exact same STEM skills that our future workers will need in industry. Funding to get teams, help get them started, especially in greater Minnesota and in low-income communities, would help students discover what it's like to be on an engineering team, something that schools just don't have the time to do with their many academic requirements. Funding to help formalize a Minnesota STEM ecosystem would help many of the small nonprofits offering STEM programs. This has been done in other states, Michigan and Iowa in particular, to help expand their STEM programs. The Minnesota STEM Ecosystem Director was crucial for High Tech Kids to receive our first State of Minnesota DEED grant. Without her, we would not have found the partners needed for the STEM internships and career pathways piece required for that grant. As a former electrical engineer who worked both in the medical device and the semiconductor fields, I know these programs teach the exact same skills to succeed as an engineer, a technician, or a computer programmer. As a longtime employee of High Tech Kids, I have seen our participants go from being on a robotics team to pursuing more technical education and then working for our Minnesota companies. I also know that funding new teams gives more students an opportunity to discover STEM, and that we have over a 90% return rate on those new teams. Thank you for considering Senate Bill 1726 for funding from the state of Minnesota.
Thank you so much. That was pretty good. Let me go to Sanneh. Is that's your name? Is that correct?
Sanneh Taher.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here, and state your name again for the record and give me your 2 minutes of testimony.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Champion and members of the committee. My name is Sanneh Taher, and I'm a junior at Mounds View High School in Arden Hills. For the past 4 years, I've been a proud member of Team 19706 Potential Energy, and I've been involved with STEM programs for the past 9 years. In 8th grade, I worked with another teammate of mine to start Potential Energy because I had seen how strong the impact of robotics was on others. Being an 8th grader, I didn't know anything, and I mean anything, about robotics or engineering, and now I can't even imagine my life without it. Through robotics, I've learned so many skills, technical and non-technical. One of my favorite skills I've learned was CAD, or computer-aided design. This skill helped me to develop parts that aren't really made standard, and learning all these different softwares was really eye-opening, and it's often an opportunity that most students don't get till college. My strongest skill that I've learned from robotics is how to be a leader. This past year, I became one of Potential Energy's team captains, and this role entails a lot of leadership. I've learned how to communicate with my teammates, focus on streamlining progress, and work through tough problems as a team. Because of this amazing program, I now want to pursue a career in engineering. I've had the amazing opportunity to meet so many professionals working right in the industry, and it has inspired me even more to pursue this passion of mine. In fact, many of my teammates are looking at STEM careers, but without programs like this, we wouldn't have the exposure or really know how to get started. I want to ensure that students across Minnesota have the same opportunity to access these programs, and funding from this bill would create a larger interest in younger people to explore what STEM careers have to offer. This investment would help expand opportunities so that students from all backgrounds can help and develop the skills needed for the growing workforce. I ask for your support for SF 1726 to make STEM education more accessible for students across the state. Thank you so much for your time and supporting the future of Minnesota's workforce.
Thank you so very much. That was good. That was good. I want you to know. So thank you again. So a couple questions. Any for the committee before I ask a couple questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And when I was on the school board, we put a real emphasis on STEM. In fact, we called it E-STEM. Through our strategic plan, we identified the environment as one of our key areas, and so it was environment, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we ended up making every school an E-STEM school. But my question is, a lot of, at least from the testimony I've heard, seems to be falling on the K-12 kids. And I'm wondering how this is different from traditional STEM learning, and what are we bringing to the table that's, as we draw money from the Workforce Development Fund, that's really meant to get people into careers that are struggling to get there today.
Thank you so much for that question.
Ms. Said.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Identify yourself again for the record and then answer Senator Pratt's question.
Thank you, Senator Pratt. Thank you, Chairman. I'm Emily Sade. I'm the director of the STEM ecosystem, and thank you so much for that question. My testimony was longer. I was getting to that part. But I'm sorry, I was over. One of the biggest key components, especially even with the collaboration that Cheryl was talking about with that DEED grant, is we actually, in partnership with the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities Centers of Excellence, we've built an exploratory STEM curriculum and integrated lean industry practices into that curriculum. And we also are running an internship program, and in that internship program, more than half of them are outstate. And of those immersive internships that we're running, we're doing both a micro and a immersive internship program. With the immersive internship programs, about half of those are in advanced manufacturing, and while they are high school students, they're coming out with industry certifications ready to enter the workforce. So, and just to reinforce, this is actually driven by industry, and instead of looking at education first, we're looking at workforce development first and looking at how can we prepare not just young people. We're also working with like the CHIPS folks. You'll see that on the industry letter, to how can we create earn and learn programs and how can we upskill current workers. So it's really looking at STEM as a whole, K through grade.
Senator Pratt, a follow-up? All right, I have a question. Since you said, Ms. Said, that you wanted some additional questions, so here's a question. You identified on page, in line 1.10, that you may award grants to programs that support STEM learning. Can you give us a sense of what type of entities that you're thinking of that may support STEM learning, and what would the amount of those grants be, and how will you determine if you should give them a grant or not? Ms. Said.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Chairman. We do, like I said, we do have an advisory council put together that really and truly is cross-sector, cross-system, that spans all different areas, and that's enclosed in your packet. that would be the body that would provide guidance. Some of the funding would go to support the continuation of the internship program, and we do already have funding formulas and have determined outcomes about how that would occur. And with regard to the other programs, they would need to have specific requirements, whether it's emerging technology, competitive events. I think competitive events provide a very low threat, low risk place for students and adults to showcase technical skills. Those would be key priorities. But primarily, if you're looking for just how it would be distributed, it would be using that advisory council.
And I understand that you talk about this as an ecosystem, which is important. So can you give me a sense of what sort of contributions will be made by your partners in order to make this ecosystem work? Ms. Said.
What sort of what? To make
what sort of contributions, money, resources that will come from your other partners in order to make the ecosystem work?
Well, we're already partnering with the State College and University IT Center of Excellence. We have a fairly robust partnership with several different industry folks. We do intend to make it a public-private partnership. One of the, Heidi had mentioned when she spoke, Medtronic alone, just in technology donations, that was over $30,000 of VR headsets we were able to distribute. Now we also are distributing microprocessors. That, again, is about $40,000. We have other industry folks here with us today that are committed to making this a public-private partnership.
Any additional questions from the committee for any of the testifiers? Seeing none, Senator Hauschild, you will be the last voice for the committee to hear before we lay this bill over for possible inclusion. And before that, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to also say Ms. Nolner was going to give us some additional finance information before you give us your closing statement.
Mr. Chair and members, just looking back on previous funding of STEM programs, I thought it might be relevant to the discussion for the committee to know in 2023, the jobs bill appropriated $3 million in fiscal year 2024 to support high school robotics teams and prepare youth for careers in STEM fields. And then $2 million of that was for internships for high school students to work at private companies in STEM fields. And that money is available until June 30th, 2028. So it's not this, it wasn't a grant to this organization, it was just through deed, but it sounds kind of similar, just so the committee is aware that exists.
That's good information, thank you. Closing comments from Senator Hauschild.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what's great about Minnesota is that we have such a broad and diverse economy. And I bring that up because whether you're looking at agribusiness and all of the offshoots of headquartered companies that exist in Minnesota from Cargill and others, or if you look at my region with mining and forestry, or you go to MedTech with Medtronic, or you talk about the future with agriculture for sustainable aviation fuel, there are so many opportunities not only for us to enhance what already exists in our economy here in Minnesota by bringing students along for those job opportunities, but to the testifier's previous point, we don't even know what jobs and opportunities will exist in our country and in our world, and I really hope that Minnesota continues to be on the cutting edge of those opportunities, and I think we are doing that, but we have to be alongside there with education and opportunities for our kids to have those job opportunities, because what we know is that business and industry are making decisions based on the workforce opportunities that they have, and if Minnesota falls behind, we will unfortunately see those investments go elsewhere. So my hope is that we inspire the dreams of our kids by enhancing these opportunities and support the industries of the future. That's the goal of this bill. Mr. Chair, I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you so very much, and I hope Henry was inspired this weekend as well.
I think we'll see him on that robotics team someday in Hermantown. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And with that being said, Senate File number 1726 is laid on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Hauschild, you have another bill that's up. Now before the committee is Senate File number 1945, and we see that you have a testifier, Sean Welsnick. If you'll come forward, he's the CEO of the Entrepreneur Fund. And I'm going to turn to Ms. Noner so she can give us financial background and where we are and have been with this bill or anything similar to it. Ms. Noner.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 1945, the Entrepreneur Fund, that's the bill we're on, correct? I want to make sure. Okay.
Senate File 1945.
Okay, so for this bill, it's proposing one-time funding in fiscal year 2026 of $1 million for Entrepreneur Fund. And in last year's jobs bill, the 2024 bill, the Entrepreneur Fund received $1 million in 2025 in one-time funding from the general fund.
All right. All right. With that being said, Senator Hauschild, if you can give us the overview of Senate File number 1945.
Thank you, Chair Champion and members of the Senate Jobs Committee. I'm honored to introduce Senate File 1945, which provides critical funding to the Entrepreneur Fund to support small business lending across Minnesota. The Entrepreneur Fund serves small businesses in Aiken, Benton, Carlton, Cass, Cook, Crow Wing, Itasca, Kennebec, Couchiching, Lake, Mille Lacs, Morrison, Pine, St. Louis, Stearns, and Todd counties in Minnesota, and the Grand Portage, Bois Forte, Fond du Lac, Mille Lacs, and Leech Lake tribal nations. The Entrepreneur Fund makes a big impact on small businesses in north and central Minnesota. From lending to advising, they help small businesses start and grow. The Minnesota Legislature has partnered with the Entrepreneur Fund in the past, and they're able to use these state investments to leverage other funding for additional lending. Mr. Chair, with that, I do have the CEO of the Entrepreneur Fund with me to testify on the importance of this legislation, and I also would be remiss not to thank you and the committee members for the allocation to the Entrepreneur Fund during previous legislative sessions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. And now to the testifier, if you could state your name for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Hi, thank you, Chair Champion and members of the committee. My name is Sean Wellnitz. I'm the CEO of the Entrepreneur Fund, and I'm honored to be here to submit this testimony in support of Senate File 1945. This allocation provides critical loan capital for the Entrepreneur Fund and, more importantly, for the directly to the businesses that we serve. This one-time appropriation, just as last year we used to leverage for federal and private dollars to bring bring capital back to the small businesses that we serve. So in short, this $1 we ask for, $1 we ask brings another $3 in private or federal dollars. The Entrepreneur Fund's a nonprofit organization dedicated to economic growth and supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses in Minnesota. We offer a unique mix, and we really focus on underserved, primarily in rural Minnesota. And that unique mix is we provide a combination of flexible capital, direct one-to-one support, and really practical educational opportunities for any person who wants to start, stabilize, expand a business. They get access to do so through their support through the Entrepreneur Fund. Our services are provided at no cost to them. Part of our business model is making a small earned income off of our lending opportunities. On an annual basis, we serve anywhere from 1,300 to 21 entrepreneurs with these services, and we deploy 150 to 350 loans annually with an average loan size of less than $100,000. So it gives a lot of opportunity and access to people who don't have it, or we often pair up with the private sector to take a little more risk to help entrepreneurs get more of what they need. In 2025, we expect to deploy $22 million in the region. Our Q1, which will end here on March 31st, is already well on track with over $5 million deployed. We have a pipeline of $27 million of new activity coming our way. And these dollars, just like last year, we seek to multiply. We did have success with that last year. We keep that model going. And as long as entrepreneurs still need capital, we want to help support them to create the jobs and thriving communities that we all want to have here in Northeast Minnesota and Central Minnesota. So with the passage of Senate File 1945, this will help us leverage federal, state, and private funds. And you're investing in the economic opportunity and a stronger Minnesota for years to come. So these funds really do.
Thank you so very much. So your last sentence.
Okay, we do two things: provides financial support to leverage dollars, but this also shows our other partners and creditors that the state of Minnesota is a strong partner of the Entrepreneur Fund. Those two things together are really critical to help us make a successful Minnesota.
So, Mr. Welsnick, when you talked about the number of people served, were you giving us a general number of the number of people that the Entrepreneurs Fund usually serve? So that's my first question. And my second question is, if that's the general number, can you give us a sense of how many people benefited from the investment of $1 million that we've already done. And then my third question would be, what areas of service did those individuals receive? To testify.
That's a big question. So yes, so recapping, the first one was what 1 million did they already received? How many did that help? Did I get that correct?
So maybe I'll break it up.
Yep.
You gave me a number, I think you said 1,300 people?
On average,
sir?
yeah. On average, we serve 1,600 people per year.
All right, and then of that 1,600, were all those people allowed to participate because of the $1 million that we gave? Or if not, what percentage of those people were a byproduct of the investment that we've already made to the Entrepreneurs Fund? So let's start there.
Good question, yeah. Of the 1,600 that come in, the state doesn't actually pay for any of those. We pay for those through federal dollars or operate. So those are people accessing services. They're coming to us for some reason to start, expand, grow. Not sure what they're looking for. They might be looking for consulting, or they might be looking for capital. And we help them sort through where they want to go and how they want to get there.
So if the 1,600 is from a federal grant, tell me how many people benefited from the $1 million that we've already given you?
So from a multiplier, well, to correct that, I guess from the $1 million that was allocated last year, we have not received those funds yet. We're still waiting on those. But traditionally, that 1 million will turn to 4 million. So if you take 4 million divided by a $100,000 average, that would mean, what's that work out to be from my math? 40 individuals or 40 loans that would be created just for those dollars. But again, that repeats in perpetuity. So once these $1 million are received, we keep revolving them over and over again.
All right, so if you could be so kind as to provide us some additional information that kind of speaks to what has been done, and so we can see what our contribution or investment will produce, even though I think you said that you haven't received it yet. Is that what I heard you say?
Correct.
So, and usually it is reimbursable, right? So we should be able to see if on average you receive 1,600, you can now say that you've expanded and the benefit is X number. So if you could provide us some additional information, that would be helpful.
Sure. Well, I can share, for example, just allocating that we are sharing that we received the $1 million commitment. We received another $8 million last year of capital commitment from private sources that will go for loan capital for small businesses. So just off of the, even though we don't have it, we got commitments from private creditors of additional $8 million in loan capital that will serve small business owners.
Any additional, any additional thoughts or discussions? Senator Pa, I think, was first on the list.
Thank you, Chair Champion. So I've got two questions, actually. Start out with one, and I want to continue on one that Senator or Chair Champion actually started, which is you talked about receiving funds, but I'm sorry, you talked about having not received the funds yet. Can you expand on that and just talk about why that's the case?
To the testifier.
Yes. So the funds were, it was last session. I'm trying to remember my timelines. I think it took a couple months for us to get the paperwork from DEED. We submitted the original paperwork back. It took a while to come back. They worked through we had to work through the terms of the allocation as well as the leverage factor, which took a little while. And then it was submitted, I believe, back in early December was finalized, and they're still waiting to go through. I believe it currently sits in procurement right now, so I think it's at the final, I think it's all been, they're just waiting on the final sign-off is my understanding.
Senator Pa, any follow-up?
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Chair. I ask that because, for me, I often say that small businesses are really the backbone of our economy, and especially so with rural small businesses.
Yep.
And so I'm absolutely in support of us making investments to support our small businesses in rural Minnesota and see the need for it. So I'm actually a little concerned that you have not been able to use those dollars already to support the small businesses there. But I support this $1 million. I'm just concerned about how you're going to be able to finish that and then be able to work on this. So that's a concern, but then my second question is, on here it says business startups, to help business startups, expansions, and owner transition. If you can just expand a little bit about what owner transition may look like. I'm assuming that's from our older folks are retiring and maybe transitioning businesses to our next generation to take over, but if you could expand a little bit more about what that actually means.
Yeah.
To the testifier, that's a question I had as well. That was circled, so thank you for
Yep.
the question.
Right, as many of you are aware, in the next 5 years, 60% of all small business owners will retire, the silver tsunami, as they so far say. And correct, many of those folks, there's a great opportunity there in terms of economic opportunity and transition. For those who are figuring out to leave, there's new opportunities for those coming in. So a good example we had a longtime successful restaurant owner, had ran her restaurant for 40 years. We had two ambitious young sisters, ages 22 and 24, believe it or not, wanted to get into the restaurant industry. And they mentored with her for 6 months. We did coaching, we did some guidance, we did it with both parties to help them figure out how those two parties wanted to make it work. At the end of there, they were to get because it's an asset sale and you have new owners coming in, the bank was willing to lend against the assets of the business, but those two young new owners didn't have enough equity and wealth to put as much in as they needed. The Entrepreneur Fund stepped in with that loan capital behind the bank to give them an opportunity. When things go all as planned, another 2-3 years, they have a good track record, the bank will refinance us out. That's a good example of kind of how we put services together, the role we play in capital. We're meant to be a bridge, not a long-term, and get people kind of into mainstream banking.
Any follow-up, Senator Bob, before I go to Senator Nelson?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Nelson.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. Chair. I'm still thinking about that floor, Mr. President. Chair Champion. Thank you so much. My question, I'm just, a number of the questions that my colleagues have asked are questions that I have too. It's just that there's not really enough information for me here to see what has been done, what's the status of the Entrepreneur Fund. And I think one thing that might help us, did you file a 990 and have you included that somewhere? Occasionally, when people come before this committee, they do include their 990s, and that provides some very detailed information that might answer a lot of the questions that we have. So I'm just did you file a 990?
Yes, yep.
Yes, so Mr. Chair.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you. And so some of that high-level information off your 990 would be helpful. How many employees do you have? What other funds do you have coming in? What are your in-house expenses? In other words, the cost of operating the E-Fund, what percent of your funds goes to that operation? I think you mentioned something about maybe a salary or two. I don't know. So I just think going forward, for me, Mr. Chair, that would be incredibly helpful in helping us just get a better sense if you could provide that. Thank you.
Happy to.
To testify.
Happy to. And also, would you like me to speak to some of that now, or is that helpful?
Sure.
Or just for later?
If you have some
Yes.
of it, you can be happy to tell us some, but feel free to provide to our committee administrator any additional information that you want us to have.
Yep.
And he'll make sure that he distributes it to the rest of the committee.
Yep.
Mr. Weston.
I will do that. I'll provide that. Just as a quick follow-up to that, the Entrepreneur Fund is a community development financial institution. We have a fellow lender here on our committee. Part of how we raise our loan capital is, of course, looking at what our loan volume is coming in, what loan capital debts we have to pay back, and what our demand is going forward. And that kind of makes up the mix. This bill is an essential part of that mix, and it becomes really a transformational boost for us. So a short example I can share with you, we have roughly right now $20 million on hand of capital. We have $7 million in creditor notes coming redued in the next 6 months. And we have a loan pipeline right now of $27 million. And so when you do kind of a forecasting out of timing and what has to leverage what, this really becomes a critical piece in there. We live off what we call as a deployment ratio, and that's where we look at those pieces. If you have, right now we have a target is 75%, which is healthy, saying you have enough capital on hand to meet your needs. We actually right now are at 70%. We have a little bit of enough. By the end of this next quarter, we'll be at 83%. And when you start getting to that point, you become a little constrained on meeting the needs of people who are out there looking for capital. So part of our forecasting, I'll provide you data, but I'll just tell you it gets really wonky and, and deep, but that's part of our piece. And again, the critical part of this mix, because when you put a $1 of equity in from the state, that says volumes to our national creditors and the people out there who are considering where to invest their dollars. So, but I will provide you more information on that. So
Thank you, and we'll look forward to getting that information. Senator Nelson, anything else, or this applies to that information? Any additional questions from the committee? Seeing none, Senator Hauschild, you get the last word before we lay this bill on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Hauschild.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I appreciate the dialogue on these issues and really diving in on this. I can't speak more fondly of what the Entrepreneur Fund does for the region that I represent in the surrounding areas of central and northern Minnesota. And I just want to touch on this aspect of not getting the money, because I think it's really important when we talk about the way our state government works and when we try to give out money to support our communities, to support business growth, all of these incredible things that we do, we often hear hair on fire issues when it comes to those distribution of funds and how it wasn't done properly. But what we don't talk about often is how challenging it is to get funding where it needs to be. And I think particularly for me, representing the most rural district in the state, I often feel like I'm pounding my fists on the table saying, how are we going to make sure that the rural communities, the small businesses, the micro businesses, the entrepreneurs in these really tiny towns are actually able to get the capital that people in the more urban and suburban areas where a lot of the wealth in this state are located get access to each and every day. And this is one small effort that we are making to partner with somebody who does incredible work to get that money where it needs to be to help promote those things. And we're saying we value that. We value the work that they do, and we as a state want to help get that capital to our rural communities, which is exactly what this organization does. And I think they can do it a heck of a lot better than the state government could. So that's why I'm bringing this bill forward. It's why I advocated for getting the $1 million we got last year. But I just want to put a point on the fact that the money still isn't in the communities that I represent. It's still not to the entrepreneurs in my rural communities because of the bureaucracy that we go through to get those monies. And that's important. We need a check and balance on these funds and where they go, but I just want it to be recognized how challenging it is for our partners and for those that really need it to get the funds. I think that's a really important point to make in this political environment we're in. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. With that being said, Senate File number 1945 is laid on the table for possible inclusion. Now we see Senator Pappas is here with us. Welcome, Senator Pappas. We will now entertain Senate File 1900. She has two testifiers, Tony Sanneh, who is the CEO, and George Medina, who's a youth employee program participant. If you both can join her, Senator Pappas, at the table, that would be great. And while the others are coming to the table, we will start with our fiscal analyst, who is Ms. Noner, who will give us a sense as to what has happened in the past and what the request is. Ms. Noner.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 1900 is proposing appropriation of $2 million in one-time funds from the general fund for fiscal year 2026. And in the past, the Jobs Committee has appropriated $1.5 million in fiscal year 24-25 for the Sanneh Foundation.
Thank you so very much. With that being said, we will go to Senator Pappas. But Senator Pappas, before we have you give an overview, it looks as if you have a A1 amendment. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have an A1 amendment. That is an author's amendment. If we could take that first, I'd appreciate it.
With Senator Mohamed moves that we adopt the A1 amendment. Is that your motion, Senator Mohamed?
So moved.
With that being stated, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. The A1 amendment is adopted. Now, Senator Pappas, to Senate File 1900 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief so we have plenty of time to hear from my testifiers. The Sanneh Foundation is doing really important work in my community and throughout the metropolitan area. They're the gold standard when it comes to career readiness, community connection, and fun. As you can see from the handout in your packet, the workforce program at the Sanneh Foundation is designed to help young people, particularly from underrepresented communities, gain the skills, experience, and confidence needed to enter the workforce and succeed in their career. This program is an essential part of the Foundation's broader mission to empower youth and build stronger communities. Now I'd like to turn it over to the CEO, Mr. Tony Sanneh, to talk more about the numbers of participants served and the key metrics demonstrating that this work is critical, it's working, and why the funds requested in the bill before you are necessary and will be put to good use. We also have one of the young leaders with us who started going to Conray Rec Center on the east side of St. Paul when he was 4 years old, and today is one of the youth coaches. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Sanneh.
Mr. Sanneh, welcome to the committee. It's good to see you. If you could state your name for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Tony Sanneh. I'm CEO of the Sanneh Foundation, and thank you, Senator Pappas, for your support. We'll try to be brief because I want George to be able to talk. And we've had members of the committee, Mr. Chair, we've had bipartisan support throughout the years. And we believe that's because we've been good stewards of money, been responsible with your funds, and have been able to leverage it. We use a dual-track model, meaning that, you know, a lot of our direct service providers or staff members are doing work that has a public benefit. So whether we're hiring you to coach, do nutritional services, facility management, all your work is having another public benefit. So we're providing internship jobs that actually benefit. So your funding goes a long way to meeting the needs of the community while building the next generation of leaders. We encourage young people to get in the door, and at that point, it's up to them to work their butt off to, you know, to elevate in the organization and make a difference. They also realize that their jobs, people depend on them, whether their moms have to work and they need to be there for childcare, or they have to give out food, their jobs matter. And so they take a different kind of responsibility in learning these skills. You know, George is a great example of someone who came to our camps when he was 4 years old as a participant. And it wasn't until he's 8 he realized that his coaches, which were other high school students, he wanted to be like them. And so he kind of just hung out, and then, you know, he'll tell the story. He had to do a year of an internship free because, you know, camps end at 12, but you can't get paid till you're 14. So he did a coaching training year, which he'll tell you about. But we're trying to be innovative. We respect the support that you've given us, and we think we're great stewards of the money, and the community is benefiting.
Thank you so very much. And with that, we'll go to George Medina. If you will state your name for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Close to the mic.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is George Medina. I am 15 years old and a freshman at Egan High School. When I was 4 years old, my family moved here from California. My mom wasn't working at the time, and we heard about a free summer camp, the Sanneh Foundation. It helped us a lot. It gave my mom time to try to start working, and went there every single year since. Like he said, when I was 8 years old, I really started paying more attention to the coaches, and so it always felt like I wanted to help them. By the time I was 13, I did get to do what I call CIT, or the coaching training, which was the free year, and that helped me gain a lot of very important things for when I did actually get hired. This helped me learn things like leadership, thinking quickly, and most importantly, gain confidence to speak to many different types of people, whether that be a bunch of 6-year-olds or all of their parents. I got hired year-round last winter, and now I help coach food distributions, manage Conway facilities, and do lots of community events. I've gained a lot of confidence in talking to parents especially, and well, I know everybody wants the best for their kids, and so that's something I always have to keep in mind. And if somebody comes up, I know some kids, if they hurt a different kid, their parent will come to me, and then I have to learn like how to calm them down, or just learn how to really speak to them, especially if they're already mad. And that's helped me a lot because it's got me to gain a lot of confidence talking to people and being able to calm them down.
Well, thank you so very much, and thank you for your testimony. And you can sit there for a little while because we might ask you some questions. I see, Senator Pappas, that you have another testifier or another person who's sitting at the table who's not on our list. Senator Pappas?
Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, this individual is here if there's any technical questions that Mr. Sanneh can't answer.
Okay, thank you so very much. Any questions? Senator Hurd?
Mr. Chair and Senator Pappas, I just want to speak in support of this bill. The Sanneh Foundation has done an excellent job, and I think Senator Pappas has phrased as a gold standard. I completely agree to that term itself. Is the work that Tony Sanneh and the organization have brought to the East Side St. Paul through Conway RAG. We had testimony here from George. It's wonderful. You know, I'm probably the senator that closest to the Conway RAG, and you know, I randomly just go there, and they're just doing excellent work. And I also want to commend Mr. Sanneh himself. You know, he could be remote or he could be somewhere else, but he always engaged in the communities. You know, such a energetic person, being athletes, but even though it's not his physical, but his determination that got us this far. I would say without him and his vision, you know, it would be a blank that we left this community or the metro area unserved and build leadership to our young people. You know, there's an old phrase that we all so familiar with, that it takes a village to raise a child. And I know it's hard for individual to do their part, and that we all should do our individual part, but having a system, had an organization in place, that in itself, you know, is an important role for our modern society today. And I just want to speak in support. I know there's a strategy there, but I miss being co-author to this bill. So if there's a space there, please add my name. I'll have my staff contact your office, Senator Pappas.
Thank you so much. Any other questions before I ask a question or two? Seeing none, two questions. Senator Pappas, I see that this money is being taken from the Workforce Development Fund. That was a part of your amendment. Can you just for us connect the workforce aspect of it? Because this committee is sometimes pretty stringent when it comes to money coming from the Workforce Development Fund as opposed to the general fund. That's one question. And the second question is that in the past that we have given $1.5 million, and it looks like your request is $2 million, so that means you're asking for a $500,000 increase. So can you tell me what's the purpose of that $500,000 increase and what would be the benefit of it? So those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I'll refer you to the flyer that we prepared specifically in answer to your question to talk about the youth workforce development programming that the Sanneh Foundation does. So you just can't have somebody, youths from disadvantaged communities aren't necessarily ready for the workforce upon day 18. So this, as you can see from George's testimony, starting with them very young, when they're 14, already preparing them with the kind of skills they're going to need to pursue a career. So we're looking at career exploration, we're looking at skill building, financial literacy, computer literacy, time management, and also the social emotional learning that you need to have to be able to get to work on time, be able to get along with your team members, your coworkers, and then also they also put in the support work, the support services that are necessary for the family, whether that is, you know, housing or food and nutrition or transportation.
Any other questions for the testifiers of Senator Pappas?
Mr. Sanneh had a comment too, if that's okay.
And
yes,
I would thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to say CEOs now say the most important skills is social emotional competencies, and they say that's what's lacking the most in our current workforce. Your money, 70% of it is going back into families from these households to begin with, so it's a reinvestment in your community. But they're also, like, in the soccer, for instance, or basketball, they're coaching 4 days a week, so they're giving back over $700,000 in free camps to families to begin with. But on every Friday, Friday, they go and they do leadership development and career exploration. So they'll go and visit different companies. They'll go visit U.S. Bank, Atomic Data. So they're constantly learning on-the-job skills, and we think that's important because you don't just turn 18 and decide to work. And if you don't have the competencies to self-regulate, you can have all the skills in the world. If you can't figure out, how to get to work when your car breaks down or how to take the bus, you won't have a job for long.
Any other questions for the testifiers? Seeing none, before Senator Pappas gives her closing comments, before Senate File number 1900 as amended is laid on the table for possible inclusion, I like to say that we also have our own champion that's sitting here at this table, which is Ms. Noner, who is a curling champion.
Oh.
And so we are so excited about her being a curling champion. I'm not jiving. She is a curling champion. So it's one of those sports that we are hearing a whole lot more about. So as soon as you said something about sports and other things helping to build something, she was nodding because I was looking at a champion right there. And so with that being stated, any closing comments, Senator Pappas?
Mr. Chairman, did you want us to answer your second question? We can certainly talk about the number of youth that have been served and why the increase in funding request.
That'd be great as a part of your closing.
So either Mr. Sanneh can do it or Ms. Wurst.
Okay.
Hello.
State your name for the record.
My name is Kim Wurst, and I'm with the Senior Director of the Sanneh Foundation's Workforce Development, or Human Development, as we like to call it. We're building these 21st century skills. So in 2023, we had 77 workforce interns, and 34 of those were right track interns through Ramsey County. And in 2024, we had 57 right track, 2 impact, and we currently have 42 year-round workforce interns working for us that are anywhere from 16 to 24 years old. We did pay out $540,000 to deed from deed funds in wages only to these young people. We go through, for these camps that you see with the training that we do with the social emotional learning, it's 11 weeks of really intensive work for these young people. We go through about $250,000 in just 11 weeks. So the money that we haven't billed yet is going to be used and depleted down through this next summer course. And I will let, Tony, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No,
Mr.
just,
Sanneh?
Mr. Chair, just that there's a waiting list of kids that want to work. There's other communities in the 7-county metro area that are asking us to expand our services to support freedom schools and different camp opportunities with changes also in our nutritional services. We've been able to expand our organization from a $5 million budget to 9.5, and that's because we've been able to leverage these internships and actually have them do meaningful work, which allows us to serve the community more.
Any other questions for any of the testifiers? Seeing none, last comments, none other? Okay. With that, Senate File number 1900, as amended, will be laid on the table for possible inclusion. Thank you so much. Members, we will now go to Senator Fateh, which is Senate File number 1424. Senator Fateh, if you'd be so kind as to come to the table, along with Francisco Segovia, that'd be great, who is the Executive Director of COPAL. While you're coming to the table and you all are being seated, I'm going to turn to our fiscal analyst who's going to give us the fiscal picture.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 1424 is proposing $750,000 in 2026 and $750,000 in fiscal year 2027 from the general fund for COPAL. And in the past, the Jobs Committee has appropriated $1 million in one-time funding to COPAL in fiscal year 24-25, also from the general fund.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the committee. It's always so good to see you, Senator Fateh. If you will state your name for the record and give us your overview. And then once you do that, we will then go to your testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. SF 1424 seeks to support COPAL's initiatives across the state and the worker-centered programming with career planning, workforce training, and education. Wage theft restitution, driver's permitting tests, and more. COPAL has a physical presence in the Twin Cities, Rochester, Mankato, and provides services to Latinos across Minnesota while engaging in a network of over 35,000 community stakeholders throughout the state. Some of the programs they provide are career exploration and job placement, educational opportunities such as GED, computer skills, financial literacy, and accounting classes. And they also provide labor protection support for workers who are victims of wage theft, as well as leadership development. My testifier, Francisco Segovia, will expand a little bit more on what COPAL does and the services that they provide. He will touch on all workforce programs that they do and printed out 990s, as well as handed out the packets of all outcomes from their 2023 appropriation to committee members. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and with that, I'll pass it to the testifier.
All right, to the testifier. And members, I will point your attention to the 2023-24 report that has just been handed out from COPAL, which covers their biannual report with some additional information that's there. With that, Executive Director, sir, so good to see you, and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Champion, and members of the committee. I'm Francisco Segovia, Executive Director of Communities Organizing, Power, and Action for Latinos. Our organization was founded in 2018. COPAL is a statewide C3 organization that builds collective power, transforms system, and create opportunities for Latino families. First of all, I want to thank you for the support that we received from you for the biennial 23-24. With your support, we were able to build all the things that you see. The first page with the information about the jobs, the activities that we have done. Let me tell you that we haven't yet done because the funding ends June of this year. So there are still numbers that will follow these ones. And thanks to your support, we have been able to achieve all these things that you see over there. It is key to mention that our population is growing. Our Latino community is expected to be at least 10% by the 2030. And so 10% of the population of Minnesota. While we have that growth, our community still needs a lot of support. And that's why our organization is statewide and we have offices in Mankato and Rochester. It is, for us, common to see someone from Mankato, for instance, requesting to join the citizenship class. And we have people who have graduated from greater Minnesota. If you turn the page 2, what is it that we are requesting right now? Basically, COPAL is seeking support from the state of Minnesota to continue its workforce development and efforts and implement the following strategies. One is supporting new Americans to obtain employment in the long-term care workforce. And so a lot of immigrants like myself come with pre-existing skills, but oftentimes due to lack of English proficiency or other factors, we ended up in industries that don't where we cannot use our skills. So our intention is to capitalize on those pre-existing skills and connecting people with the right jobs. That's the case, for instance, of a lot of people who comes into the United States with knowledge in the medical field. And so our hope is to, again, connect people and provide the basic trainings they need to achieve that.
Thank you, Mr.
Segovia.
Segovia, got it. I should know that, right? Any one last statement, because your 2 minutes is up, but I did remind the committee that you do have the information that is present. And
Yes.
on page 2 and 3, it's my understanding that this is the work that you'd like to continue to do as pertains to workforce development efforts by implementing the strategies articulated on page 2 and 3. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Any last statement that you want to make quickly?
No, I basically requesting your support and open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any questions to the testifier? Any other questions? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to know, first, I appreciate your work in helping Minnesotans prepare for jobs, and particularly in the Latino community. I've served for 10 years on the Minnesota Council on Latino Affairs, used to be called CLAC, and so I'm very supportive of the education and the job training that I see. I just want to know, COPAL lately in Rochester has been leading protests, and I want to know what's I would like to know about those protests. Specifically, my concern, Mr. Chair, is the protests that COPAL was leading in Rochester had to do with illegal immigration. And I would like to know COPAL's, I think Minnesotans would like to know COPAL's position, and if their taxpayer dollars are being used to fund protests to support illegal immigration. I think Minnesotans probably need to know that.
Mr. Segovia, any questions about that? If you feel comfortable doing that briefly, but then I would ask that if there's something else that there'd be some additional discussion with you all offline. I want to kind of get to what this proposal is, what the work is that we've done in the past, but she raises a question for you to answer. Briefly.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think it's important to notice a couple things. One, the concept of illegal. Not human being is illegal. We are humans. We are the creation of God. Second, when we create these contracts, we are required to report. There is a database that we report information to. It's named Workforce One. And so when you create or put people into Workforce One, you had to put a social security number. You had to provide all the details needed. So the information is there, and obviously funds from the state are meant for people who meet those criteria. The organization also receives funds from various foundations to support the well-being of our community as they are. And last, the situation that happens in Rochester, for instance, 4 out of the 7 people who were arrested were basically released by immigration based on the fact that they didn't have any criminal records. So it is essential that we see each other as humans, as people that we care, and that we support each other. I honestly can tell you that once myself was undocumented due to issues happening in my country, fortunately, I was able to eventually secure documents, and here I am with you building this society. So please see me as a full human being.
Ms. Nelson.
Mr.
Senator
Chair,
Nelson.
I just want to clarify. I appreciate you as a human being, and I appreciate every human being. My comments were about illegal immigration and COPAL's support of that. However, I do appreciate your help in making sure that that you were able to go through the process. And I think you are a testimony to this country about welcoming people and helping people be here legally. But I am concerned when we have a nonprofit organization that is leading protests about in support of illegal immigration. I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. I think it's important for us to bifurcate these issues because I do think that's important here. One of the things that I think our testifier has made very clear that when you look to get, first of all, they have to have a contract with DEED. Secondly, Workforce One requires you to have, a social security number and other things in order for you to even get any funding or reimburse for funding for that population that you are serving. But I do think that people have a First Amendment right to be able to protest and say whatever they think or feel. What we have to make sure of is just that they are doing the right thing based on the funding source. And that sounds like that's what's happening. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I agree with you. I think every organization has a fundamental First Amendment right. I think the question comes down to how much of the resources that this organization has are being put towards political activities like this and then coming to us to support their other activities. Maybe those resources that they have could have been put into the request and the ask from the state would be less. And I think that's what I'm weighing when I hear Senator Nelson's question. Thank you.
And Senator Pratt, thank you for that. I think what I'm hearing is just like anyone else. They come, they make a request. They made a request even last year. They documented exactly how many people that they have supported and will continue to support. And now they're here asking to continue the great work that they've done. And if there's any other political notions about, protesting the federal government's policy as it pertains to immigration and whether, others are being taken out of our country, that's a separate question that that I don't think that we should be diving into. All we have to look at is our funds, what they're doing with our funds, them doing the right thing, and that they have a right to their First Amendment right if they believe that the way the country is treating immigrants should be something that any one of us should be able to speak to. And so I will not punish someone because they are speaking out in Rochester against some things that may or may not be happening. So, any other questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Segovia, just a couple of quick questions then. How much of your budget comes from private sources?
Mr. Segovia, oh, I'm sorry.
And how much of your budget is spent on political activism?
To the testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have about 40% come from foundations. Now, when it's about foundations, you also have to keep in mind that unless a foundation allows you to do it, you have up to 20% to do any engagement. And so with that in mind, is we follow the protocol that the law has stated in terms of engagement, in terms of expressing our point of view about the issues that impacts our community.
Any additional follow-up, Senator Pratt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate that. And so 40% of your funding comes from foundations, so roughly 60% would be coming from state and public funds?
Come from contracts, individuals as well. So I will say maybe the government contracts can be about 45%.
Senator Pratt.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. And then my other question was, how much of your budget goes to political activism?
Mr. Segovia.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Would you please define what is political activism?
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I think I'm thinking of specifically the types of activities that Senator Nelson has addressed, and if there are anything else more of a political nature than, say, a workforce nature.
So
briefly, and then we're going to move on to the testifier.
Yes. So some of you, for instance, were here for the driver license conversation, for instance, see what the project is, how much success. That will be political activism. Let me tell you that oftentimes it is basically civic engagement and allowing people. I cannot be precise, but it's not much in terms of how much of our own time and people's time are committed to that. So if people were arrested in Rochester and people decided to participate and ask due process, which is what this nation expects of everyone, right, to have the right to due process. I cannot give you the precise because I don't know, but I will imagine $400, $500, that's plus our own time that we donate to express how people are treated, so.
All right, any follow-up?
Just a clarification, Mr. Chair, I'm not talking about specifically what he or his folks do on their own time. I'm just looking at how are the resources of the organization being used, and whether or not that's, impacting the amount that's being requested from this committee. That's all. I'm not trying to infringe on anybody's First Amendment rights. I'm not trying to infringe on the organization's First Amendment rights. I'm just trying to understand the financial implications.
And Senator Pratt, I can hear that, but I also hear that I think he answered our question as it pertains to how much of the funds that we have provided go to any political action, and what I heard him say is zero, and that their impact is articulated in the documentation that is provided, and because deed requires certain information, therefore we know that it has to be within the bounds of what deed will allow. So, Senator Pratt. Okay. All right. Let's see. I want to make this, if you look at the time, just as long as you guys are willing to hang in there with us, so we can do the rest of our bill, that would be great. Senator Mohamed.
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing this bill forward, and thank you, Francisco, for the work that you and your organization does. I think you all hold the space for our immigrant communities at a time when they are currently being attacked. And I know that the work that you do is beyond just making sure that they have a voice at the table, but making sure that they have the services that they need to be able to live their lives is really important. And this is one of the very few committees that I serve on that doesn't get very political, and I'm just really disappointed that our members are choosing to use the same terms that our president uses. And so if they want immigrants without documentation to continue to live under the shadows of our system, to be sent to Guantanamo Bay, I'm really disappointed that that's the position that they are taking.
Members, just be conscious. Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Chair Champion. I too just want to give a few comments about my support for this particular bill, and thank you, Senator Fateh, for bringing this forward. COPAL is a leader in advocating for workers and helping people access employment. Your organization has been a big part of our Latino community and our immigrant community, and that's because you've built a trust from the community in which you serve. They come to you when they need resources, they come to you for advocacy, and they come to you to make sure they get the assistance that they need. And again, that's because they feel safe doing so and because you've built that trust. And if that means that you have to advocate for the people that you serve, then you need to do that, because that is part of serving the people that you are serving. I remember not too long ago, our API nonprofits throughout Minnesota and throughout our nation was advocating for our Asian community, who was receiving a lot of Asian hate. And it would be something that naturally comes from the people you serve to look up to those organizations to say, are you going to fight for us and be our voice? And that means not necessarily to that the people you are serving are, I should take it back and say, the people that you are serving and their family, friends, and their community right now are living under fear of not just that there may be members of their family that could be illegal immigrants, but the fact that when people look at you, even if you're a U.S. citizen, they perceive you as an illegal immigrant, and possibly that. And then there are things that is projected onto our community that harms them. And so having organizations like your COPAL standing up for your community and making sure that people feel safe in their daily life and safe going to work and safe seeking help to find employment is critical. I love the fact that you included this report. When I look at the numbers of the people you have served, when I look at how much you've been able to, the work that you've been able to do, I'm just so incredibly grateful to have this organization serve our immigrant population here in Minnesota. Thank you.
Senator Joyheim.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, committee members, for some good discussion here. I'm just a little disappointed. It feels like the Republicans are being shut down from our line of questioning and trying to be cut short. You know, we're facing a $5 to $6 billion deficit. I think the taxpayers of Minnesota expect us to do our job, and part of that job is to look at and make those tough choices on how we spend our tax dollars, and to ask some leading questions on how funds are being used that are funded from our hardworking tax dollars is not out of line, no matter what the use is for it. So we should be free to ask any question and what the uses are. And I just, we have a tough job coming up. And we have to prioritize from a lot of good nonprofits out there doing good work. And some of them are engaged in political activity that I think there is a large percentage of the population believe that we're funding. So to ask those questions, I don't think are out of line. And I just want to remind the committee that I think it is our job to ask those tough questions in a polite way, which I think we have done today. So, Chair, I just wanted to speak my mind on that.
And Senator Johann, before I go to the next person, I think it's totally appropriate to ask questions. I think it's always appropriate to ask questions, even difficult questions. When Senator Nelson was asking questions and we had gotten feedback on the number of folks that they serve, and then the testifier responded by saying, hey, we have to have Social Security numbers, we have to put all that in the workforce system. He was very thoughtful about the numbers and how they're using state funds. It was when Senator Nelson started asking questions more about their political activities outside of that and what is the percentage, when we had already been clear, or at least I heard the testifier clear, as to what they used the funds for and what we put forward. And I don't want us to, I want us to ask questions, but walk that balance, that thin line of not becoming so political that we're now trying to score, I don't care on which side, political points, as opposed to getting to the essence of the work that an organization is doing. So I want you to feel comfortable. I hope you don't ever feel like you can't ask questions. You certainly can ask questions, but I understand that they're very uncomfortable questions for everyone, especially once you start getting to the First Amendment stuff and people's right to be able to articulate what they think or feel. Senator Johann.
Thank you, Chair. And I don't think it's any different than asking about executive pay. You know, when you're looking at a pot of money and you can divert funds for all kinds of things from expenses standpoint in any type of entity, if it's for-profit or nonprofit. But, you know, if I'm going to prioritize a list of groups to help fund to accomplish whatever goal we're trying to accomplish, I think the questions that were asked were legitimate questions in light of publicly reported activities going on in Senator Nelson's district. So I think these are the tough questions that we should be pushing ourselves to ask, to make that tough choice that, frankly, you're going to have to make on who to fund with the $5 to $6 billion deficit.
Oh, absolutely, and not a $5 or $6 billion deficit this biennium, but we understand what projections can be, and we're going to get our report, our February forecast on Thursday. But what I will say is that there are some differences in our line of conversation when it comes to like administrative costs. What is the percentage and what are people using funds for and that sort of thing. And even CEO pay, you know, we've been really, really deep in those conversations, and I try to make sure that they're all connected to what our funds are, and are we as a committee allowing people to utilize state funds for some other activity or someplace. But thank you, your points are well taken, but I just want us all to be very clear about that. All right, Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I would just say two things. Briefly, to my questions particularly, there is a difference, and that is kind of what my questions were getting at. There's a difference between political activism, which seeks policy change, and everyone has free speech, everyone has rights to protest, and we all think differently about different issues, and we should be respectful of each and every one. We should not cast aspersions on someone because of a group they belong to, no matter what that is. So I think we're broader than that, and we're bigger than that. But the difference is community engagement actually strengthens local participation. That's what we're looking at. Local participation, education, problem solving, strengthening Minnesotans. And that's what I think when I look at state dollars being used to support nonprofits, that's what I look at. And so my comments, I would say we must be careful not to accuse members of believing something that they did not say. I think we all have election certificates. I think testifiers can speak very eloquently as well, and I think we all can speak for ourselves. I don't think we need to have other folks necessarily say, well, this is what I was trying to say or what I believe. But let me just be clear. I am concerned about the political activism being financed by state resources. And certainly we know that that is, I think, probably not the job of Minnesota taxpayers, but I just want to kind of put a end point on the end of that conversation. Thank you.
Anything else? And I think it's really clear, you know, that there is a difference between policy changes, wherever those are, whether it's on a state level or a federal level, and that some people, based on different positioning, no matter who it is, I'm not saying anyone, those things can be defined and looked at sometimes as political. All I'm suggesting was and is that individuals can ask questions. I'm okay with that, but I always think that we should, you know, walk a fine line of just making sure that our questions are connected to what the request is, and not allowing outside voices to, you know, find their way into our committee. So with that being said, any additional questions? And those outside voices are any voices. I don't have any particular one I'm speaking to. I'm saying in general. Any other questions for Senator Fateh or the testifier before we lay this bill on the table for possible inclusion? Seeing none, Senator Fateh, you get the last word before we lay it on the table for possible inclusion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. I also want to thank Mr. Francisco Segovia for coming. I'm honored to partner with COPAL and him. This is an amazing organization that does transformational work, serving tens of thousands of people statewide. The Worker Center alone served over 4,300 people, providing them with things like job placement, financial literacy. We saw in the packet that hundreds of folks obtained jobs, average wage being close to $19 an hour. They coupled that with labor protections such as wage theft protections, with the wages recovered last year showing to be $50,000. To me, that's meaningful and that's impactful. And this is work that's necessary. We know, and I know Senator Jayham talked about this, when this kind of opportunities arise, our state is better off for it. Uplifting people, providing them a livable wage, providing them with the resources that they need to succeed. In a culturally relevant way also is powerful. And I want to say thank you, Mr. Chair, to you for allowing us to have this hearing.
With that being said, Senate File number 1424 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you, members, for a rich discussion. Members, we'll now go to Senate File number 1808. Senator Mohamed. And while Senator Mohamed is making her way to the table, if we can get P.J. Hubbard from the CEO of Better Futures to join her at the table, along with Jason Allen and Tino Jones. Is Tino Jones with you all? Okay,
Tino,
you're Tino.
Yeah,
and how about Jason Allen?
P.J. Hubbard will not be speaking today.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to see. All right. And while Senator Mohamed is getting settled, we will have Ms. Noner give us a financial picture.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Better Futures in this bill, Senate File 1808, is proposing $850,000 in fiscal year 2026 and $850,000 in fiscal year 2027. And there isn't a one-time language in there, so that amount is assumed ongoing. And for past funding, in fiscal year 22-23, so back 2 biennia ago, Better Futures received $600,000 from the Workforce Development Fund, and then in fiscal year 24-25, Better Futures received $850,000 from the General Fund, and Senate File 1808 is proposing funding from the Workforce Development Fund. So they've received funding from both Workforce Development Fund and General Fund.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for that. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Before you is Senate File 1808, which We just talked about, and it allocates $850,000 fiscal year 2026 and 2027 to Better Futures. This funding will assist justice-involved men by offering job training, housing, and mental health services to help break the cycles of incarceration and poverty. Better Futures is committed to advancing people, the planet, and the economy by transforming lives, reducing environmental waste, and creating job opportunities. This investment supports public safety, lowers recidivism, and fosters a more sustainable economy. By supporting this appropriation, we are investing in second chances. I will now turn over to my testifiers, and then we will take questions, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so very much. Mr. Allen.
Good afternoon, Chair, Champion, and committee members. Thank you for having us. Better Futures Minnesota is a workforce development and social enterprise that embraces a population of disenfranchised men who have been impacted by the criminal justice system. These men have essentially been locked out of our society because of their histories of incarceration. On average, the men that we serve have 3 felony-level convictions and 12 years of incarceration. The majority of our men are chronically homeless, meaning that they've never had a lease or a mortgage in their own name, with histories of persistent unemployment. Most of our men have little to no work experience, and for some of them, employment with Better Futures represents their first time having gainful employment. As convicted felons, they are often overlooked from employment opportunities. A lot of employers will say that they are felon-friendly, but more often than not, you have to have a friendly felony. We serve men who have been convicted of low-level drug offense all the way up to loss of life. This population that we serve are hard to employ. We are focused on breaking down the barriers of employment. We provide our men with 12 trainings and certifications, on-the-job training, along with job placement and support services. Our internal data shows that the men who have been with us for a year and a day, our recidivism rate is 7.1%, which is down from 8% the previous year. By providing these transitional employment and work development opportunities to this population of men, we are helping to reduce the state's burden of having to house these men in our penitentiaries. We're also helping these men re-engage with their families and communities. In providing them with gainful employment, they are becoming fully participating, tax-paying citizens and are no longer burden on the taxpayers.
Thank you so much. That is your time, unless there's one last sentence that you want us to know. If there's any other supporting documentation that you want us to have, please feel free to give that to us.
Okay. Final sentence is the work that we do works. And if you've not been presented with our annual report, we will get that to the committee.
Thank you. Mr. Tino Jones, provide your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senators. My name is Tino Jones. I came to Better Futures in 2018. Started off as a participant. So I came to the model to figure out why I keep making these here same mistakes. And what Better Futures, with the tools they provided me, then I received a lot of structure, which I didn't know I needed at the time. So at the time, I was thinking about leaving Better Futures, but then I spoke with P.J. Hubbard, and this was so impactful to me, that he told me to take the weekend. Do not make decisions based off of emotions. So that was so impactful to me, that because I'm used to people telling me, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. So took the weekend, thought about it, came back to Better Futures. Then I got promoted to crew chief in training. Once I was promoted to crew chief in training, I was actually taking crews out, and we was actually getting the work done. From there, I went to assistant sales manager of the warehouse. So there I ran appliances, and I also did sales. Once I had all of that, then I was promoted to the business manager of the warehouse. Had keys to the building, have the alarm system and everything. So this was so impactful to me. Me and my wife is truly, truly happy now. We've been together for 11 years. Actually own my own home in Burnsville. And to show the last promotion I just received, I am now the integrated care manager.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the committee, and congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
A couple questions. Mr. Allen, I'm looking at your document here, and it looks like you all state here that 58 enrolled in 2024. Is that number still accurate? And if so, when you say enrolled, is that in the program itself, and how many of those completed, and how many of those were placed someplace else if you also have a job training program, a job placement program?
Chair Champion and committee, great question. So last year, so that was total enrollment for last year. On an annual basis, we support approximately 100 men on a rolling basis. Last year, there were a few interruptions with recruitment. There were a couple of shutdowns in the facilities where we could not go in and recruit potential participants who are coming out of incarceration. And so we are looking to expand that number in 2025. And the reason why we are requesting additional funding from the committee is to be able to serve more men.
And can you tell us what the disruption was? Because, 58, we're grateful for that, but that seems to be a very low number for the amount of money that you had requested before, and now you're asking for more when we're still at a number that seems to be a little more challenging.
Yes, so there was a few disruptions there. There was a shutdown due to a COVID outbreak in the facilities. And also, there was some rioting where we weren't able to go in. And again, yes, that number was a little low, but we're looking to increase that number.
And can you tell me where was that rioting in 2024?
So that was, I don't know specifically where it was, but I can get that information to you.
So anything that you don't have, if you could provide us that information, that would be great, because I specifically would like to know how many men not only just enrolled, but how many completed and how many were placed somewhere, and what their average wages were with being placed. And last but certainly not least, the information can also provide, tell us what an increase would do, right?
Okay.
Because that seems to be important information, and you can provide that. You don't have to talk about it now. It's just because of time.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for the testifiers? Senator Mohamed, you get your closing comments about this bill, and thank you for bringing it. Senator Mohamed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and members, for considering this. They do incredible work, and I've had the opportunity to visit their facility, and I hope you all get the opportunity to do so as well.
With that being said, Senate file number 1808 will be laid on the table for possible inclusion. Members, we're going to Senate file number 1745, which is my bill. I'll ask Tara Mayfield and Larcelle Mack to join me at the table, and then we can go from there.
Okay, Mr. Chair, you can begin, or Senator Champion, you can begin Senate File 1745.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and committee. Thank you so much for hearing Senate file number 1745. This bill is to help resource an organization called Emerge. Emerge operates multiple workforce and employment sites in Minneapolis. They have a great track record of using state funding and exceeding proposed goals and metrics, as well as partnering with local government units to maximize the efforts. And their social their social enterprise, a Second Chance Recycling, employs those directly out of incarceration to help them reintegrate into society. Based on time, I would ask, Madam Chair, if we could ask Ms. Noner to give us a sense of the past financial picture, and then from there, go to Tara Mayfield, who is the Executive Vice President of Programs at Emerge.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Mulder.
Madam Chair and committee members, as Senator Champion said, Senate File 1745 is proposing appropriations of $600,000 in fiscal year 26 and $600,000 in fiscal year 27. And I assume that's proposed to be ongoing, as there's no one-time language. And then in past funding, in fiscal year 22-23, Emerge received $500,000 from the Jobs Committee from the Workforce Development Fund, and that is also what is being proposed in this bill, is from the Workforce Development Fund. But they also received general fund money in fiscal year 24-25 of $1 million in one-time funding.
Madam Chair, thank you for that information. So I would like to just make sure that the committee knows that this is only, the ask is for one-time funding, not for any ongoing funding. So I don't want to violate my own rule of anyone asking for that. So I want to make sure that that's clear. And with that, Tara Mayfield, who is Executive Vice President of Programs.
Okay, Ms. Mayfield, you have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Champion. Madam Chair, committee members, I'm Tara Mayfield, the Executive Vice President of Emerge Community Development in Minneapolis. I'm pleased to be here to provide testimony on Senate File 1745. First, I'd like to give some background on Emerge. Emerge programs are based in Cedar Riverside Opportunity Center in South Minneapolis, our Career and Technology Center in North Minneapolis, and our Second Chance Reentry Service Center in Southeast Minneapolis. Across these locations, we offer workforce development coaching and placement for adults and youth, financial counseling and education, certificate training in several career paths, and special services for individuals returning to the community from incarceration. We also operate 2 successful social enterprises as a model for training and employing returned citizens as they reestablish their lives and work histories. Last year, we reached over 6,000 individuals, serving nearly 2,000 overall in our workforce programs. Our staff is highly reflective of the communities we serve, speaking 7 different languages. Many have shared lived experience with the people that we served. We previously received direct funding to assist low-income job seekers, new Americans, and returning citizens in gaining skills, securing employment, and returning jobs at higher starting wages. As a result, we exceeded our project outcomes. It is important to note that all these results are documented in Workforce One and reported, frequently reviewed, and audited by each of our funders. Emerge is seeking a direct appropriation of $600,000 in each of the next 2 years to continue to support the work that we do across these locations. In closing, this will enable us to serve 500 new participants over the next 2 years. Larcelle Mack embodies our work and is someone who has once a participant, now a leader at Emerge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have another testifier.
Yes, Madam Chair, it is Larcelle Mack, who's the Director of Reentry Programs at Emerge.
Okay, please introduce yourself to the committee, and you have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee. My name is Larcelle Mack. I am the Director of Reentry Programs at Emerge, and I myself am a proud product of Emerge. Upon my release from incarceration after 17 years, I came to Emerge and I was supported by a past generation of staff who helped me with the resources I needed to rebuild my life with a sense of purpose and hope. The program took me through a process of change that I would not fully grasp or appreciate until years later. Step by step, I developed my career skills from a recycling trainee to a series of jobs that ultimately led to a professional position where I am able to give back to people who have gone through similar experiences as myself. If I wouldn't have had this program and those individuals at Emerge, such as Marvin Clark, who guided me, I can honestly say I know I would not be here in front of you today over a decade later. One of the things I am most proud of is that I have played a role in making the program a leader in the field of reentry work. with deeper support and stronger outcomes for the men and women we serve. Decreasing recidivism rates and improving employment option, our program has become a go-to in our state. We now have diverse funding that helps more returning citizens realize their life and career goals, and we are being recognized nationally for the work that we are doing. But we can't do it alone, and we would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Members, questions for Senator Champion or his testifiers? Senator Paul.
Thank you, Chair Mohamed. I just wanted to check with staff, did we get a handout for Emerge? I wasn't sure. I couldn't find one, and I wanted to make sure if we did, I have it.
Madam Chair, and yes,
Okay.
Senator Powell, that you'll see in your packet that you should have a one-sheeter, two-sided one-sheeter from Emerge that also captures that they have special emphasis it's placed on partnering with employers who offer living wage opportunities of at least around $20 or more than $20 an hour.
Thank you. I see it now, and it was because it was lost in my paperwork. I appreciate it. That was said.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Senator Champion, you get the last word.
Last word is, I think this is a great organization, a great bill. I think it has great promise. I think they will continue to have great impact on the communities that they serve, especially as participants are emerging to be greater, better, and much more thoughtful, and we all benefit when they all do better. So thank you so very much for the time.
Thank you. And Senate File 1745 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Members, that concludes our business for this meeting. Our next meeting is Wednesday, March 5th. With that, this meeting is adjourned.